And sometimes I think we get fooled into thinking that life to the full is a busy life. For me, life to the full would always equate towards the more people I get to sing in front of, the bigger hit song I have, the more records that I sell. Well, guess what? Kind of hard to sell records when you're not playing any concerts. But what I've discovered in 2020 is, man, how is it possible that I'm experiencing life to the fullest on a walk with my wife and my daughters tonight? That felt like life to the fullest.
And this is CIA, Contagious Influences of America, the podcast. From the producers of Keep the Faith, the number one faith-based radio show in all the country. And I'm David Sams. And we're really honored today to have somebody who is a really good friend, somebody who hangs out in the studio here at the homestead quite often. And I love having him over because this guy, first of all, he had guts. During the lockdown here in Tennessee over the spring and summer, literally, we could not get a guest in the studio. Everybody had to do it via Skype or Zoom and all that. But Matthew was one of the brave few who actually came into the studio. And yeah, we did the temperature check and all that. But, he sat across from me. We were 7-8 feet apart. So we tried to play by some of the rules. But by golly, he showed up, and he really is a champ. Just love the guy, and he's going to be our special guest on this very unique holiday edition of CIA, Contagious Influences of America. So we'll get to Matthew in just a minute. We have never had a sponsor here on the podcast, and really it was by choice. I just did not want anybody on the show buying time, but I have to tell you, there are a handful of folks in this world who happen to be in the business of creating great products. And these are people who have created products that I personally believe in. And one of them is a guy that I know. I'm going to mention his name. You're going to know in a second who this guy is. He invented something you sleep on every night, something that you can't live without, or at least I can't live without. And something that, you just wake up in the morning and you go, whoa, what just happened to me? Why haven't I been sleeping on this thing for decades? Why did I wait so long? I'm talking about Mike Lindell. He's the inventor of My Pillow. He's turned into a good friend. As a matter of fact, he is actually featured here on CIA, I think way, way, way back in the beginning when we were trying to figure out what this show is. We were just trying to figure this whole thing out. And, Mike did, I remember I interviewed him, and we were trying to figure out, what is this thing that we're creating? And I asked him the first question, and I remember he gave me like a 25-minute answer. But it was so daggone good. His story is so compelling. He is so engaging that we had to use the entire thing. So go back about, 80, 90 episodes, whatever it is, and look for the original episode with Mike Lindell, way, way back in the beginning of this thing. And you are going to hear the most powerful story, the most powerful testimony that you've ever heard before. So check it out. But I just love his products. I have the My Pillow, and I have 4 of them. I ordered 2 of them, and I think I picked up a couple at Costco back in the day because I saw his advertisements on TV. And I bought 1, then I bought 2, and then I had to buy 2 more. Now I cannot wait. I have to tell you something. He's expanded his business because his product is in such demand, and of course he makes everything right here in the USA. He's all Mr. Pro USA. I recently noticed that he has a pet pillow. A pet pillow. I mean, seriously? A pet pillow? But I have a cat, Cash. Many of you have seen me post pictures of Cash online, and I've talked about Cash before. And of course, every star in Nashville that comes to the homestead record, they're all like, "Oh my gosh, can I have my picture with Cash?" I'm like, "Oh, what about me? What? Let's do our picture." And it's crazy. I think Cash is probably one of the most famous pets in all of Nashville. And I mean, we have pictures of Cash with every country star, every Christian star, every big-time author hanging right here on the wall in the studio here at the homestead. And then every once in a while, I'll see a picture of a celebrity in Nashville pop up on Instagram, and they're there with my cat. Not with me, but with my cat, Cash. So I just learned a while back that Mike Lindell is now manufacturing pillows, my pillows for pets. So I've got one of those on the way, and I am going to... This cat of mine weighs 28 pounds. He's a Mancoon, and he weighs 28 pounds. That is a big cat, okay? At nighttime, he's got his whole big routine down, and he jumps up on my bed, and I'll tell you, I have a king-size bed, and he takes up about a quarter of it because he stretches out. And by golly, you know what? If I put my feet down there, and I can be asleep at night, and I have my feet down there, and I just sort of, I don't kick him, but, maybe I move my feet, and all of a sudden they're on him. Oh my gosh, he's like, what are you doing? This is my bed. And a couple of times he's like, let me know that. And I'm like, no, this is my bed, not your bed. So here's what I've decided to do. I am going to try out Mike Lindell's My Pillow for Pets. I'm going to put that thing in that right next to my bed. First of all, you know what? At first, I think I'll put the My Pillow for Pets on the bed itself, and get Cash to fall in love with this thing. All right. Once he falls in love with it, then I think I'll put that at the foot of my bed and see if I can convince him to sleep on the My Pillow next to my bed or at the foot of my bed as opposed to on my bed, which would be it's a win-win. It is a win-win. It'll be a win-win for Cash and a win for me. So I'll let you know how that works out. But Mike has turned into a good friend, and he's a big fan of contemporary Christian music, and he's a big fan of Keep the Faith. So he has given us a very special holiday offer. The regular price for this thing is like $69.98, but for our listeners right here, he's going to do this for us for $29.98. And of course, everything comes with a 10-year warranty. He has this special technology that he's come up with this thing, and he is going to give us a deep discount. And for only $29.98, he's going to give us a queen-sized premium My Pillow. And that is a deep discount. What is that? It's like $40 off for the pillow. And that's just for those of you listening here right now and for our Keep the Faith radio show. And this is one of the lowest prices ever. And it's going to make a great Christmas gift. And here's the great thing. He's going to give you it's kind of nuts. He is going to extend his normal 60-day money-back guarantee all the way to March 1st, 2021. So, hey, if you've ever thought about getting a My Pillow and trying it out, this is risk-free because, man, you can get that thing. You can sleep on that thing. You can do crazy things with this My Pillow for the next 3 months or so, and then send it back. You don't like it? Send it back. You have until March the 1st of 2021 if you don't like this My Pillow, this queen-size My Pillow for only $29.98. So here's how you get this special offer. Just go to mypillow.com and click on the, you'll see a little thing there for radio listener specials. It's a little square, and use the promo code KeepTheFaith. That's real important. Use the promo code KeepTheFaith, or you can also call 800-422-5310, 800-422-5310. Or, of course, go to mypillow.com and put in the promo code KeepTheFaith. I can't wait. I'm also getting I've seen him advertise the pillow topper, the mattress topper. I have one of those things that I got from another place. I think, one of the stores here in town. And it was great for about 2 weeks, maybe a month. But, I'm kind of a big guy, not as big as I used to be, but I'm like 6'2" and weigh like 215. So I'm kind of a big guy. And that topper, It didn't last as long for me, the bed top, as it did for other people, I guess, that love this thing. So I cannot wait to get Mike's version of the mattress topper, as opposed to what you find in stores. I cannot wait to get my hands on that. I'm going to put that thing on my king-size bed, and I will report back to you and let you know how that thing works out. Because my back, if I don't have a great support system, and if I don't have, but I like a plush, I don't like a really hard bed, so I got to find just the right combination. So I'll report back to you on that and let you know. But make sure you check out Mike's special offer just for those of us right here, for those of you listening, for this queen size pillow. Normally $69.98, it's now $29.98. Just call 1-800-422-5310 or go to mypillow.com and type in Keep the Faith. And then again, we've never had a sponsor, and I haven't wanted a sponsor. I know people that have multiple sponsors, and I'm like, geez, I really don't want to go there. I just want to do my thing. I don't want the sponsorship thing to get in my way. But there you have it. Mike Lindell, the innovator, the entrepreneur, the guy that created one of the most successful privately owned companies in the country, and employs all these great people right here in the USA and manufactures right here. He is our first sponsor here on CIA Contagious Influencers of America. Matthew West. Yeah, Matthew West. Matthew is one of those just genuine guys who you just love hanging out with, and every time he comes over to the homestead, he brings his guitar in case I want him to do a little performance. And I remember in the summertime, I had him over here in the heart of the pandemic, and he actually sat in the backyard. I said, hey, Matthew, can you do a backyard concert for me? I mean, you're not on the road. You're not touring. It's not like you're got a lot going on right now. So would you just come over, do a little interview, and bring your guitar and do a little performance for me in the backyard? And he did. He actually sat in my backyard on a chair out there, and a folding chair. It wasn't a plush chair; it was a folding chair. And by golly, he did a concert for me. It was crazy. I had a lot of fun. But he's that kind of guy. He's just a fun kind of guy. For those of you who have no idea who he is, I just got to fill in some blanks here. He's a 5-time Grammy nominee. He's a multiple ASCAP Christian Music Songwriter and Artist of the Year, and he won that. He's won Dove Awards multiple times. He's had many gold and platinum certified singles. He's won the American Music Award, the Billboard Music Award. He's been the Billboard's Hot Christian Songwriter of the Year. Check this out. I had no idea. He actually received a Primetime Emmy Award nomination for an original song that he wrote for the feature film The Heart of Christmas. In addition to his recording career, he has more than 130 songwriting credits to his name, and he's written for everybody from Rascal Flatts to Matty and Tay, to Michael W. Smith, Mandisa, Danny Goki. Gosh, he's had all kinds of number one songs that he has performed, and also others have performed songs where he has been the writer. He is also, I'll just tell you, this guy, he has been nominated for Grammy after Grammy. It's just staggering the amount. We know him as a recording artist, as a guy that goes out there and performs. But somebody that can write this many hit songs and have this kind of impact on the radio is just mind-boggling. So he's my special guest today. Oh, by the way, he also has written like 5 books. Okay. And he has a nonprofit ministry with his dad. I mean, so this is one heck of a guy and one good friend. So let's just go to the interview that I did recently with Matthew West. As we get into the Christmas spirit, he can bring us a little joy and a little hope. Hope, that's the key word. because that's what his new song's all about for the Christmas season. Here's my interview with Matthew West. Okay, here we are. We're just weeks away. Christmas is literally right around the corner, and we have with us Matthew West. He could not wait to come over here and debut his new song.
I'm in the Christmas spirit, and I figured you would have some sort of fancy Christmas clothes and some candles burning or something, so get me even more in the Christmas spirit. Sure enough, I'm here, and it smells like Christmas potpourri, and I'm in the Christmas spirit. What can I say? I'm happy to be here.
Well, gosh, I think now more than ever we need Christmas, and this is going to be such a bizarre Christmas. There'll be no sitting on Santa's lap.
Yeah.
There'll be, who knows if there'll be candlelight services in some states.
Yeah, it kind of makes you sad to think about, normal is out the window right now. I'm working on a skit right now where Santa's in a hazmat suit. So... and it doesn't quite give you all the feels like Santa visits in years past, but it's Christmas is going to look different this year. Everything's looked different this year, and yet I'm struck by the resilience of my children, of my wife, of our family, of our communities, like people just rising up and continuing to seek out hope in the middle of what seems like a hopeless time. And I really feel like we could use Christmas. I feel like we need Christmas. There's something about the Christmas season where it just brings about togetherness. It brings about, it's all the things we sing about and all the things that we know Jesus offers us, not only at Christmas, but throughout the year. And so I'm really praying that this Christmas season will be just a beautiful time of healing for our communities, our nation, even if it looks different, that it'll still, all the things we're singing about, that we'll realize that they are still attainable. Peace can be found even in the middle of strife and chaos.
Yeah, I think more than ever this year, we're all looking for a miracle, and I know that we talk about that every year. But this is a year so unlike any other that we've ever experienced.
That's right. Yeah. The need of a miracle. Somebody out there right now. Just as we're talking, somebody's praying for a financial miracle to be done in their life, a physical miracle. The illness, the addiction, everything on the rise. Everything seems to be on the rise, and it's all the bad things that seem to be on the rise. And so my heart goes out to anybody who's praying for their miracle this year. And obviously I think we're all praying collectively for healing to be done in our nation, and obviously for us to get a grip on COVID-19. And so it's interesting because I think there's individual miracles that we're praying for, and then there's collective miracles that we're praying to see God really do a work in our land, to heal our land. And I'm reminded, I was reading the scripture in Chronicles, just a reminder that if my people will who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray, the promise that God will heal our land is a promise that I've been holding on to, and holding on to it even more during this Christmas time.
Well, you have had all summer to hang with the family, and to and you debuted your podcast, right?
Yes.
Are you having fun with that?
Having a blast.
Yeah,
having a blast. I got a lot to learn from you guys. You guys know how to do this. It's a lot of work, I'll tell you, but I've been I've learned so much. I've learned so much from the guests that I get to talk to, and being on the other side of the microphone has been a lot of fun. My favorite part is my dad and I do a section we have a segment together in every podcast called Dadvice, and he just gives a couple of minutes of teaching, and he's such a man of God. And so it's been so much fun, But when COVID hit, and all my shows were canceled, I kind of went into survival mode, which is my tendency anyways, to say, Lord, I trust you, but I'm gonna keep working just in case, And it's like, man, I know God's in control, but I just get into that work mode. So I joked with somebody the other day that since COVID, it's like I wrote 15 songs and started my next book and launched a podcast, and I'm also selling a beautiful set of steak knives that can cut through a can. So, it's been creatively fulfilling, just to dive into some different things and really see. Here's the realization I've come away with. God is not a one-dimensional God, and neither are the things he creates. And so for me, I'm loving whether it's launching a podcast or writing a book or writing a song or whatever it might be. Okay, maybe I'm not going to play 80 concerts this year in front of live audiences and singing together. That's gone away, but in its place, I believe that God can do other things through my life. And so sometimes we need one of the dimensions to be taken away so that we can see other ways that maybe God has gifted us or he wants to grow us and he can use us to impact the world in a totally different way than we thought possible. And so 2020 has been a year of seeing a multidimensional God at work through his multidimensional children.
Well, this has been a great year to pivot. And
pivot is the word.
Yeah, I know for myself, I feel that way. Like, as you know, I started walking, in March.
Yeah.
And I literally am 30 miles from hitting 1,000 miles.
And you look skinny too.
It wasn't even about the weight. It was about walking off the angst, the anxiety.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I've been doing a lot of walking too, and it's had the same effect for me. Just one, obviously the physical. I was joking. I was like, man, imagine that walking. You just put shoes on, you put your devices down, and put one foot in front of the other for an extended period of time. Mm-hmm. It's like it's this new thing I've just discovered. But how many miles did you say you've done?
I'm just about ready to hit 1,000.
That's incredible. I wish I would have kept track of how many miles I've done.
Well, you know, first of all, what I did is I took my car and
that's not walking, right?
No, this is before I started.
Oh,
I got my car and I do this in my neighborhood. And
and you map the distance?
I mapped the distance.
Yeah.
And if you do every street in the neighborhood, it's 3 miles.
Okay.
All right. From top to bottom. And so every day I do the 3 miles in the morning and 3 miles at night.
Oh, so you break it up.
And I break it up. Now, some days when I'm busy in the morning, I'll do the double at night.
Uh-huh.
If it's raining, some days I'll do just the 3 miles, but then I'll make it up the next day.
That's good.
So I've got kind of a system, but I want to tell you, after about a month, I didn't even think about it. I just went out and did it. It really is true. If you do something for a month, you rewire your brain. Now I cannot even think of not going out and doing it
because you feel so much better too, don't you?
My legs are incredible. I think I have the best looking legs in Nashville.
You should be a leg model. Maybe that's your pivot this year in the year of COVID. What's interesting is it's so much easier to develop unhealthy habits than it is to develop healthy habits. I don't know why that is. Actually, I know that why it is. I mean, we live in a broken and fallen world, and we get lazy, right? And I am thankful that I can say I think I've picked up more healthy habits than unhealthy in 2020. Maybe that's one of the little miracles that comes out of this year is that there's some inventory that we each get the chance to take of our own lives and our stories and our schedules and how we're living and what things do we need to leave behind, what things do we need to keep, what things should we be doing more. I think one of the biggest struggles in my life is how fast I go day in and day out. And I think a lot of people, we get so busy doing life that we rarely stop long enough to examine what it is we're doing, if it's what God wants us to be doing, and if we're heading in the direction towards the most fulfilling life. If we're on the path towards what John 10:10 promises us. Jesus said he lays out Satan's 3-point plan first. He says the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. It seems like he's done a good job of that in 2020, but we know he's not going to win because Jesus comes back and he doesn't leave us hanging with Satan's plan. He comes with his 1-point plan. He said, but I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. And sometimes I think we get fooled into thinking that life to the full is a busy life. For me, life to the full would always equate towards the more people I get to sing in front of, the bigger hit song I have, the more records that I sell. Well, guess what? Kind of hard to sell records when you're not playing any concerts. Mm-hmm. But what I've discovered in 2020 is, man, how is it possible that I'm experiencing life to the fullest on a walk with my wife and my daughters tonight? That felt like life to the fullest. Mm-hmm, and guess what? It didn't sell me one record. Mm-hmm. It didn't make me $1, but my life slowed down enough. And so I'm really thankful for this season of taking inventory and then pivoting, like you just said, in the areas and things that need to change. And I'm praying that the Lord will give us all the strength, one, the awareness to take that inventory, before this year is over, and Christmas time is a wonderful time to do that, isn't it? To really examine the year that was before you step into the year that's going to be. To take inventory and then pivot in the areas that God will give us courage to pivot. And some of that's going to mean some pretty seismic changes in our lives. I'll give you an example. My bass player, been with me for 10 years, during COVID, calls me and says, hey, I'm moving. And he moved to Texas, and he made a huge change for his family because he felt like the Lord was leading him to be back closer to his relatives and into a new line of work. It changed careers entirely. And I believe that some other people are going to be doing that. And when you're listening to the Lord, even big changes are going to seem doable because we know that when we step out in faith, God honors that.
I listened to your new Christmas song.
The Hope of Christmas.
The Hope of Christmas. And wow. I obviously, you wrote that with this year specifically in mind.
100%. I wrote it right in the midst of the pandemic. And, just as a reminder, I like, even as I'm talking about it, I can remember being in my studio and singing these words. You're still the hope of Christmas. You're still the light when the world is dark. You're still the hope of Christmas, and you're still the hope of my heart. And this was me reminding myself that there is still hope even when it looks hopeless. Whether it's the racial tension, the political divides, the pandemic that's swept across our country, reminding myself that there is still hope, and hope has a name, and his name is Jesus. And so this song really hits home for me. It's me wanting to go back and revisit there's a line that says, right now the world looks nothing like those innocent Decembers. And I'm talking about just being a kid, and I didn't know much. There was probably just as much trouble in the world when I was 8 years old, but I didn't pay attention to it. It was just this beautiful Christmas time, and holding my dad's hand and holding the candle on Christmas Eve. And so I really hope this song will just speak to people's hearts who need a miracle this Christmas and can realize that there's hope to be found while you're waiting for the miracle. Isn't that a beautiful reminder?
It sure is. We've had so many people reach out to us over the last few months who are, I read a statistic that said 40% of the country is going through some form of depression.
I wouldn't be surprised. And that's probably just diagnosed. I mean, imagine how many people, are experiencing some form of low-grade depression without seeking out a counselor or any sort of doctor's help or medication. I mean, I can say even firsthand, I don't know about you, David, but I would be the first one to admit that I've experienced some form of depression at different times in 2020, and it would manifest itself in different ways in my life. But, that's been a very real thing for me. And I'm thankful that the Lord has given me a strong family structure. And I think, I've seen it in my kids too. My wife. I think we've all at different times faced some level of just discouragement and depression where you just want to put your head under the pillow and wake me up when this is over, But I'm thankful that the Lord has helped me through that. It hurts my heart to think of how many people, even at the holidays too. That's when things get really exposed for people too, right? So as much as we sing about hope and peace and joy and togetherness at the holidays, how many people instead are experiencing loneliness and discouragement and depression and hopelessness? And so I'm praying. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to put out a Christmas song, to be honest. With every song I put out, it's in the hopes that somebody out there who's struggling can just hear a little 3-minute lifeline and maybe grab onto it and go, okay, thank you. I needed that reminder. And that's how God works. That's why I make Christian music, because I've seen him use 3-minute songs as lifelines to people. And there's a whole lot of people out there that need a lifeline this year.
Are you looking at this year as, let me just ask you, how has it been managing home life? How has it impacted your relationship with your wife?
Well, you should ask her. No, I think, I would say, and I shouldn't hesitate with the answer because it's going to make it sound like it's a bad answer. I would say all in all, we have been brought closer together than ever before. Our relationship has been strengthened Our bond has been brought, I think, even tighter. And I think I've found myself leaning on her as much as she leans on me. I think one of the things I've been really grateful for is just the realization now more than ever, after 17 years of marriage, that there's going to be days where I'm not able to, deliver. There's days where I just can't, I blow it. Right? I let anxiety take over. I'm watching the news. Early on in quarantine, my wife sat me down. She said, "Hey, you got to do a better job." And I was like, "Excuse me?" And she's like, "Hey, look, here's the deal. You're waking up in the morning, and instead of reading your Bible, you're watching the news." And I mean, who could blame anybody for watching the news in in quarantine? You're watching this ticker on the right-hand side of the screen, and the numbers are going up, and I would just get all worked up, and I'm trying to figure out how to provide for my family and my employees and all of these things, right? Tons of moving parts. And my wife just stopped me, and she said, "You got to do better. You're a different person when you read the Bible, and look, the whole family's following your lead." Right? So when you lead with stress and anxiety, it's going to have an effect on the kids, and the kids are looking to you. They're looking to me. And I'm so thankful that my wife, and that brought us closer together, because even though my pride didn't want to be corrected in that moment, it wound up correcting my course. And I'm thankful for that. It made me realize, wait a minute, I've got to step up and be calm under pressure here in 2020. So I'm thankful for that. Celebrations have been different. We celebrated our anniversary with no fanfare back in May. She had a birthday, and we had a little drive-by parade for her. So trying to just, make it through as a family and make it through this stronger than ever before. And nothing like time together is going to make you find out, like, okay, I know I love these people, but do I like them? I can thankfully say we've come out of this saying, yes, I like you and I love you.
What about the kids?
The kids have been so impressive to me. Imagine what it's like being a kid in 2020. Homecoming dances canceled. Not getting to be, a cheerleader. My daughters love cheerleading, and their season canceled, and virtual learning. I mean, imagine that. It's been hard enough for us as adults, hasn't it, to deal with all that 2020 has thrown at us. But to be a kid, not to be able to have the kind of birthday parties you want to do. I mean, all those things, And I've watched my daughters, and on multiple occasions, I've sat them down and just say, "Hey, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. The way that you've handled 20, and I tell them, you've handled 2020 better than Dad sometimes, and I'm thankful for that." So, one of the big things that we started doing was we would take a nightly walk, and I would go around and ask each of them to talk about a silver lining. In other words, we're well aware of this giant cloud over our heads called 2020, but let's focus on some of the blessings. What's been a surprise silver lining for you? And I'll check in with them occasionally. And it's been our way of just kind of reminding ourselves that, like the old hymn, count your blessings, count them one by one, see what God has done. When you focus on the positive, you tend to be more positive as a person. I'll give you an example. My youngest daughter, Delaney, my wife found this list that she had made, and she made a list of everything that was going wrong in 2020. And it just hurt my heart, and hurt my wife's heart, just to think she was focusing on all of these things that she was observing as an 11-year-old kid. And so we countered that. We said, okay, now make a list of everything that's been good. And she went and she did it, and it changed her demeanor. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to do that. That's not just an exercise for an 11-year-old. That's an exercise for an adult, to sit down and write about all the things that you have to be thankful for. And at Christmas time, that's going to be an exercise our entire family is going to do, both together and individually. Take some time at Thanksgiving, at Christmas, to talk about, hey, what are we thankful for? And you'd be amazed by how long that list still can be, even in a year like 2020.
So where can we find the by the way, you're doing an EP too, right? Aren't you doing something new coming up?
I did, yeah. I just released it in October, and
how was it? Or how was the reaction, response?
Well, the idea behind it was just mourning the loss of live music in 2020. It's been taken away from us and the fans, and we haven't been able to gather together like we originally planned. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to put out some live music. And growing up, I always loved live albums. And so I had done a series of live performances in New York City leading up to the album release. And we put those live recordings together, and it's a 6-song EP called Live Before the World Shut Down. And that title just came to me, and I thought, let's revisit that. Maybe there'll be something endearing about just hearing this live recording from a band and musicians that are great, and it's not all polished, and then you get to hear that applause at the end in the crowd, and like, just, I don't know, it gave me all the feels. And so it's been fun to release. We did 6 songs. Most of the songs are from my latest album, The God Who Stays, and then my current single, Truth Be Told. So they get to hear live versions of those songs. And then I did a special song, or a version of a song that I wrote with Casting Crowns called Nobody, which was a big song this past year, and I had never done my own version of it. So we did a special, like, kind of stripped version of that too. So, you know, it's just been fun to kind of get creative, pivot, you know. I never put out a live recording, so, and I got a feeling this won't be my last, because I really enjoyed it. I hope the people listen to it and enjoy it as well.
So where can we find the Christmas song? And you're not doing a video or anything, right?
Yeah, we're doing a music video as well. We just filmed the music video. It's called The Hope of Christmas, the song.
Wow.
It's cool. We went to this old cabin in Nashville, or just south of Nashville, in Williamson County, Franklin, and it was a cabin built by the great Alan Jackson on his property that he just had this big farm, and he sold this farm to these friends of mine, these people I know. And I said, hey, a few years ago, I said, hey, I want to make a record, but I need a little retreat. He said, hey, come out to Alan's cabin. And so I spent 6 weeks and wrote every song at this cabin in the back of their property. And so I was getting ready to make this Christmas music video, and I thought, the video, you know, it's called a treatment. You know, when you go to a director, say, hey, give us an idea, they'll write up a treatment, and they give you, kind of cast the vision for what a video could look like. And my buddy, who's a great director, just had this idea. He's like, you know what the world needs right now? Warm and fuzzy. They need all the feels. Let's go to a cabin. Let's create Christmas inside this cabin, and you'll perform the song in there. And so I called my friends and said, hey, can we use Alan's cabin again? And so we shot one night till about 2 a.m, shot in this cabin and created Christmas inside this, and my family stars in it as well. So there's a music video available. You can watch it wherever YouTube or whatever. And then the song is available wherever you stream music. So it's called The Hope of Christmas, and it might be my first favorite Christmas song that I've ever put out.
I can't wait to play it here. And man, I so appreciate you. And
thank you.
I think you were actually my first in-studio guest when this whole pandemic hit.
I remember. I think you told me that. That's right.
You were the brave one.
I was the brave one. Well, I mean, I'm sure you, like me, have, we've taken all the precautions we can, but we can't live in fear. Mm-hmm. And I know that's easier said than done. I think about scriptures about, wait a minute. Okay, I have not been given a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. And it's like, gosh, okay, Lord, help me remember that today. Help me not live in fear. And, one of the things I've learned this year is that fear itself is not a sin. It's what we choose to do with that fear. Where are we going to take it? I think a lot of people have taken that fear inside and tried to handle it on our own. And guess what that breeds? More fear. Mm-hmm. And guess what fear breeds? Mm-hmm. Anxiety. And guess what anxiety leads to? Depression. Mm-hmm. Guess what depression leads to? Hopelessness, right? But when we take that fear not within, but instead we take it to the Lord, just like the disciples did when they went to Jesus. The boat was sinking because the storm was coming. They didn't try to save themselves. They went to Jesus. Jesus was asleep. Mm-hmm. He was calm. Mm-hmm. And he woke up and did the same thing to the sea. He put that sea to sleep. And so I'm trying to be reminded of that. So all that to say is, sure, there was some fear about stepping out of my house for the first time, coming to do interviews like that. But we can't live in fear anymore. And, I believe that the Lord's going to bring us through.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you for everything you do, and thanks for being a friend, and keep up the great work. And, man, let's go out there and have a great 2021.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to wish all your listeners just a very Merry Christmas, a hope-filled Christmas, and may we see miracles that we couldn't even fathom. May we be reminded that God hears us when we pray, that his timing is perfect, and that he does work all things for the good. And that itself is a mind-blowing miracle that the Lord performs day in and day out, taking even a year like 2020 and somehow, some way, working it for the good. So I'm confident in believing that that all will see some beautiful miracles in the making, and that as we step into 21, we'll just have our faith strengthened like never before to go, I know who's in control, and I know who I'm following. So.
Oh, thank you so much for that. That's so encouraging, and love you, man, and look forward to having you back many times over.
Thank you so much.
And thank you, Matthew. You know, Matthew is one of my favorite people. He is, literally, I can call him up and say, Matthew, can you get over here tomorrow? I want to talk about this or that or have you on, and he's here. Of course, you know, it's easy to be here this year because nobody's on tour and nobody's out there, making much of a living on the road, selling concert tickets and T-shirts. So, and he doesn't live too far from me. But I really, really appreciate him. He is one of the most prolific writers, producer / artist there is on the planet. He's just one of those guys that is such an inspiration to us all. So thank you, Matthew West. And be sure to check out his Christmas song and his Christmas video. We have it there online. And the other thing I want you to do is to just keep him in your prayers. Keep all of our artist friends in your prayers, and all of their staff and their musicians and their tour support people, and because all these people have, for the most part, been out of work for months. And I know all the time you think, wow, what a glamorous life. Well, they've had like nothing going on for months and months and months. And, these folks rely on getting out there and being amongst people and performing for thousands of people. And that has not happened since March. So please keep Matthew and his whole bunch in your prayers, okay? This has been CIA, Contagious Influencers of America, the podcast from the producers of Keep the Faith. Please do rate and review us, because that's how people find out about us, and that's how they pass along the good word. And I would really appreciate that. So just rate and review CIA, Contagious Influencers of America. I'm David Sams. We'll be back next time with another great episode, and we are going to have loads of fun here in the next 2 or 3 weeks leading up to Christmas. This is going to be quite a month, probably our best month of guests ever. And I know that we cannot wait to be over with this 2020 thing. I can't wait to bring you the next 3 or 4 guests. They're just going to blow your socks off. One of them is Karen Kingsbury, the New York Times bestselling author. Oh my gosh, I had her in here, and she just literally in 30, 40 minutes time, she gave me all of her secrets. She literally outlined for you, and I'm going to give them to you. She literally outlined how to write a book that is going to become a bestseller. I don't know if she was just very giving that day, or she just thought, you know what, I made a good living doing what I do. I've sold tens of millions of books, and by golly, I'm going to give away the secrets. I'm going to give away the secrets, the secret sauce, the secrets to the farm. And I'm telling you, she went for it, and you are going to be. It's that episode. It's coming up in a few days. It's going to blow your socks off. So if you know anybody that wants to write a book, or somebody who knows somebody who wants to write a book, or you think you have a book in you, this is the episode that you are going to want to stay tuned for here in the next few days with Karen Kingsbury, right here on CIA, Contagious Influencers of America. Hey, we'll see you in a couple of days with another great episode of CIA. And remember to go out there and live that life in living color, because it sure is a heck of a lot more interesting than living it in black and white. We'll see you next time.